You don't have to look further than the uninvited spam in your inbox to know that pornography is gaining ground in this country. The Huffington Post said recently that pornography sites get more visitors each month than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined. But what's really troubling to my guest today is the increasing violence and degradation that we're seeing in the material. He says 90% of it is directed toward women. Mr. Arnold Viersen, MP for Peace River Westlock, joins me now by Skype to talk about a motion he made in the House of Commons to study the effects of this material. Mr. Viersen, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Well, now tell me about Motion 47.
So M47 came up through a motion for the Health Committee to do a study on the impacts of online sexual violence and how it's affecting relationships between men, women, and children.
And when was the last time this issue was actually studied in the kind of study you're calling for?
It hasn't been studied since 1985, and so that was well before the internet was even around. So it's been a long time in coming. There's no doubt about it.
And the pornography today is not the pornography that people of our generation, I'll say my generation used to see. Yeah,
I would argue that it isn't even what my generation grew up on. It's pervasive. It's everywhere. It's on your smartphone, right in your pocket. It's no longer do you have to go down a back alley or to a store that has the windows on the store covered over with paper or anything like that. There's no interaction. You're completely anonymous in order to gain access. And so part of my motion is addressing the access as well.
And the access, one of your areas of particular concern, and ours as well, is that most young boys view pornography at 12. And so is there anything in place to protect them from that exposure?
That's precisely what we're looking at. The ease of access, the average age of first impact is 12 years old, and often it's not solicited. It's not somebody curious about looking for it. It's unsolicited. It's something that pops up at them and they see it for the first time.
And I know you're looking at a comprehensive research package, but there is research showing that this kind of material, this violent material, this degrading material has a negative effect. What are some of those research that you've seen?
So it's very cutting edge. The latest research came out over the summer here. It's the first study that said that there's actually causation between viewing online sexual violence and the actual starting to act it out. And teachers are seeing it, social workers are seeing it. They're seeing younger and younger age child-on-child violence.
I think it's so important that you brought this issue up to be studied, but this wasn't even something you campaigned on. This really wasn't even in your mind when you were elected. What changed? Why did you want to bring this issue up?
Well, it was a number of letters from the riding. It's particularly around the Jian case. I got a significant number of letters at that point. Also, the Dalhousie dentistry students, and then the Rotea Parsons case was something that I had remembered as well. And it was what's driving all of these issues that we're seeing around us. And so I got in contact with Rotea Parsons' mother and a number of stakeholders from across the country, and we said, well, we can try to solve some of these issues at the end, or we can look at what's causing them. And so we said, well, let's do a study on the impacts. Seeing as the science is going in this direction, let's do a study and see what we can do from a more policy aspect.
What I think is fascinating about what you've been able to do is normally when you talk about pornography in a broader culture, people are concerned about their freedom of expression or their freedom to access whatever they want. But you've been able to gather quite a bit of support to this. Tell me the kind of support you've received.
Well, we've got support from across the country, all the way from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland and Labrador. It's been broad ranged from the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada to the Newfoundland and Labrador's Feminists and Allies. So it's broad spectrum politically. We also every party in the House of Commons has been supportive of it. We specifically went after, rather than making this a justice issue, we made it a health issue. That was specifically what we wanted to do, because it's not necessarily, we could never put it. Recently, we had a lady on the Hill giving us a speech about it, and she said, you cannot incarcerate your way out of this issue. The Dalhousie dentistry students is a prime example of that. This is more of a symptom of, rather than once you cross a line, yeah, we're going to incarcerate you, but we got to maybe work on some of the inputs to ensure that we can get a healthy sexuality in our society.
Now, this motion is going to vote when?
December the 8th.
So today, potentially, you never know the way that things go, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. If it's passed, what is your next step?
The next step is to then carry it through the committee. So the committee will do a study on it, and we'll be looking to line up witnesses for that and looking for specific outcomes from that committee.
You've put a deadline on that of July 2017, I believe, in the motion. So we'll be looking to see what happens there. Thanks for all you're doing. I know a lot of people watching are concerned about this issue, so we just want to cheer you on and thank you for what you're doing to just protect the minds and hearts of Canadians.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on your show.